Hello, and welcome to our Sunday Thoughts at Cork Unitarian Church. I'd like to start off today by expressing my very best wishes for our Catholic friends and their appointment of a new Pope. I hope that the new Pope is a blessing for both Catholics and non-Catholics alike. The new Pope has chosen to be called Pope Leo, a popular name choice for popes, as the first Pope Leo was famous for convincing Attila the Hun not to attack Rome. The new Pope Leo is also a member of a Catholic religious order known as the Augustinians. Another famous member of that same religious order was Martin Luther. So maybe there is some hope for expanded ecumenism in the future. In today's Sunday Thoughts, our reflection is some ideas about what makes a good life, and what, if any, is the role of religion in that. In considering such topics, there are some difficulties right off. For example, we may all have very different ideas about what constitutes a good life. And certainly we all have very different ideas about religion and what it is or what it should be. Now, in the past, consideration of such questions might be very limited, both by our own personal experiences and also by whatever philosophical framework we might choose to define the questions. Well, now we have a brand new tool. It is called the Global Flourishing Study. This is a global collaborative effort research project tracking over 200,000 people in 22 countries over the course of 5 years. Those 22 countries were selected as being reasonably representative of other countries in their respective parts of the world. So this gives us a truly global perspective. The cost of the study is over 43 million US dollars, so it's a non-trivial effort. The data collected is being managed by the Open Science Framework. This means that it is available for collaborative analysis by researchers all over the world. Now, rather than using the term good life, which I mentioned before, this study uses the term flourishing. And flourishing is defined by this study is the relative attainment of a state in which all aspects of a person's life are good, including the context in which that person lives. So when we normally think of well-being, we're likely just describing the first part of that definition, that being the relative attainment of a state in which all aspects of a person's life are good. However, flourishing, as used in this study, has an expanded context that also includes the well-being of the community and the environment. The community's well-being is part of one's own flourishing because a person participates in the common good of the community. Now, the study uses a 6-category, multi-dimensional view of flourishing. Those dimensions are physical well-being. Think about health. Emotional well-being. Think about happiness. Cognitive well-being. Thinking about meaning. Volitional well-being. Think about character. Social well-being. Think about relationships. Material well-being. Think about being financially secure. So those 6 categories give this concept of flourishing that multidimensional approach which is needed to cover the many different aspects of human life. Now, the data from the Global Flourishing Study is only just starting to be analyzed, but there's some very interesting early findings. One observation is that people in wealthier countries do not necessarily rate themselves higher in flourishing than do people in some poorer countries. Money is not everything. There appears to be distinction between material flourishing and humanistic flourishing. It is also possible that countries that have the greatest wealth and longevity may have achieved this at the expense of other factors. It appears that for most people, flourishing is found in the dense and overlapping networks of loving relationships. So you're probably wondering, what, if anything, has been learned so far about religion and flourishing? Well, according to the preliminary data analysis, religion appears to be a positive factor in predicting flourishing. However, the correlation is not necessarily causal. Let me point that out. People who participate in religions also tend to be more likely to volunteer, show love and care to others, and to have a higher sense of meaning and purpose. I'm certain that we'll be hearing more about this global flourishing study in the coming years as more ways of data are collected and analyzed. From my own personal perspective, I'm not looking for the global flourishing study to prove anything about the benefits of religion or in any way justifying religion. What I do think would be very helpful is if the study can help us understand how religion can help people and what, if anything, can be done by us to make religion's serve us better. And now for today's closing blessing. May we all work together to create a good life where all of us can flourish. May the religions of this world work to help people flourish, and may they be willing to adapt in order to do it better. May each of us find that balance of factors which we need to flourish within ourselves, in our families, and in our communities. Amen. And until the next time, I wish each and every one of you peace and blessings.